what does the CEO really look at?
They are not concerned about what tactics you are doing. They are only concerned about the outcome and the impact that the marketing brings in. So if you say that I have generated 100 leads, and if that leads has not given us single SQLs, then it doesn't make sense.
Marketing teams should now think about how do they impact revenue, and what are the things that they should actually start thinking about in terms of saying that, okay, this is how marketing is going to impact revenue.
That marketing is not a support function anymore, but it has now become a revenue function.
How do marketing or marketers today need to think about going beyond acquisition and not just stop there?
The general perception in the market is a B2B marketer will say B2B is different than a B2C. B2C marketer will say B2C is different than B2B. This works in B2B.
Right.
This doesn't. So that's where you are actually stopping your learning curve. You say,
Right.
okay, I don't believe in that. I genuinely believe it's some amalgamation of bringing the two different worlds together.
Hello everyone and welcome to B2B Marketing Podcast, another conversation on what really is shaping B2B marketing, presented by B2B World Summit and powered by Brand Story Digital. I am your host, Saikat Das Mohanty. Over the years, marketing has been focusing primarily on likes, impressions and reach. But none of these really answer the question that the business wants. Has marketing driven revenue? And from a B2B perspective, this point becomes very, very important because of the long sales cycle and multiple decision makers. In our episode of Proving Marketing's Value, we are going to deep dive into some of the key metrics that really focus on marketing's ROI. Joining us today is Prashakth Kamath, Marketing Director and Head of Demand Generation at Strive. Prashakth comes with about 2 decades of experience primarily focusing on growth marketing. Hello Prashakth, welcome to B2B Marketing Podcast.
Thanks.
Prashakth, you might have been in multiple boardroom conversations where the question that would have been put in front of you is that what has marketing done? Okay, and this is a very key question that everybody asks for marketing. So, in your experience, what does the CEO really look at? And from a CEO's perspective, what is growth for them? If you can just share some of your thoughts on that.
Sure. Thanks, Aika, for the wonderful introduction. Before I answer that question, let me talk about my experience, right? So, I've been working with the working in the B2B space, specifically in IT services, consulting background across different markets, global markets, and in multiple companies. And in each of these companies, the question from the CEO and the board has been the same. What will be the ROI?
Right.
They are not concerned about what tactics you are doing. They are only concerned about the outcome and the impact that the marketing brings in. And earlier in my career, we were chasing the vanity metrics of how much followers we have gotten on our social media channels, how much reach we have gotten, how much MQLs we were able to generate. And I believe that is the right way of marketing for a pretty decent amount of my tenure, but that has completely changed now. And as we speak, moving forward, I'll be talking about those hopefully in this podcast.
Fantastic. So we'll be very happy to hear your thoughts on those and experiences and what are the new matrices that we do. So let's get into the discussion. And the first question or the first discussion point that I would really want to focus on is visibility is not value. Okay. When you look at B2C brands, for them visibility is of the utmost importance. Okay. If they are seen, they are purchased. Okay, because it's a very impulsive buy, and obviously there are some products which are high value, so that takes a little decision time. But visibility becomes very important. And I, as a person, I also advocate awareness a lot, okay, because I also have worked on B2C brands. So my understanding and my thinking is that the more awareness that you have, it really helps you in a long-term journey. Okay. But when it comes to B2B, it probably is not the right thing that the CEOs or the or business heads might be looking at. So in your views, what are the vanity metrics that really shape these conversations, or vanity metrics that talk about an activity, and what are the value metrics that actually talk about the impact on business?
Sure. So I'll address it in two parts. So the first part that you mentioned, awareness, right? Awareness is very important, specifically because I genuinely believe in the traditional value that brand creates the demand. And specifically in today's world where you have so many companies offering almost similar solutions, it's the brand that will kind of give the it will evoke the interest in the prospect. However, just only believing on a brand, which is that brand will only do it, would not be the right way, because it's not just about you getting getting viewed by the prospects. It's also you need to do an outreach and reach out to the prospect. So the vanity metrics for me would be how much followers you have gotten. It's a good perceived value. But similarly, if you are running a campaign and if you say my ads have been viewed by 1 million, it has gotten 1 million impressions, but it has not given us any SQLs, and I don't call the term MQLs because this is what not the board and the sales people want. What they want is an SQLs. So if you say that I have generated 100 leads, and if that leads has not given us single SQLs, then it doesn't make sense from the board standpoint. Yes, for as a marketer it might be, but the harsh truth is that wouldn't fly well with the board for a longer time. For initial few period, maybe yes. What they would want is, even if you got 10,000 impressions, but if that 10,000 impressions has given you 1 or 2 good quality conversations or a demo request, that is what they would be more interested in.
Right.
So it's and at the same time, I think the other vanity metrics with a lot of marketers chase is the cost per lead. I am okay if the cost per lead is higher, but if it gives me a good conversations and the sales love it, then even if it is expensive, it's okay, because B2B, the return on investment is 10x, 100x to the investment that you do. So that is what I would talk about. That don't go only behind impressions and CPL. Focus on the SQLs part of it.
Okay. So what I hear from you is that we need to focus on both vanity and value, and kind of balance it out in terms of where we should be focusing more from a vanity perspective and where we should be focusing on a value perspective. And therefore define what is my vanity metrics and what is my value metrics. Okay, and because every business is not the same and everybody looks at it in a different way, but overall this is the kind of approach that can be taken.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have to put in numbers, maybe 30% look at the vanity metrics, which is important to build a strong brand consistently. So you cannot say that is not important. That is important, but your focus 70% specifically in a B2B services business should be how much pipeline I have contributed.
Correct.
And that is what CEOs and the CXOs love. How much marketing as a team has generated pipeline, and how much of those pipeline has actually contributed to the new acquisition or growing of the existing accounts, etc.
Great. So you touched upon a great point here about the pipeline. So my next discussion or the next point that I wanted to touch upon is marketing's impact on pipeline. Okay, sooner or later, if you have in a B2B scenario in a market like ours, sooner or later this is the question that is going to be asked. Okay, what is marketing delivered from a pipeline perspective? Okay, and I think whenever there are budget cuts, also marketing is the first one to get slashed, because you're not adding anything to the pipeline. Okay, that's the general view at the boardroom. Okay, so in your experience or in your the places that you have worked and what you have seen, marketing teams should now think about how do they impact revenue, and what are the things that they should actually start thinking about in terms of saying that, okay, this is how marketing is going to impact you.
I'll again talk about the two part of the two part. When I started my career, I was just focused on leads, as I just mentioned earlier as well. However, over the last couple of years, right, specifically, I have realized, and that thought process has completely changed when you talk, by interacting with the senior stakeholders and the CXOs, that marketing is not a support function anymore. It was. It used to go as per what the sales team will say and the marketing will do it, but it has now become a revenue function. It is so whence for every B2B marketer should go with that approach, that it is not a support function, it's a revenue function. It deserves a seat at a table, and it's also a revenue function. It's a business function. You will not be judged on the number of impressions or followers and MQLs that you create. It is all about the pipeline. It's not about the leads anymore. So the conversation shouldn't be about how many leads I have generated.
Right.
It should be all about how much pipeline we have built.
Right.
And you need to talk in numbers and have that sales approach. That how much pipeline we have contributed. And again, there are two aspects to it. One is marketing sourced pipeline, like whatever marketing the team has created the pipeline. But I also feel that a lot of times and a lot of companies make this cardinal mistake that they don't attribute or track things really well. That's why a very underrated metric which most of the companies or most of the marketers do not highlight more is the marketing influenced pipeline.
Right.
One is the marketing qualified pipeline. The other is the marketing influence pipeline, which can be as good as somebody you're tracking the touch point of your existing prospect as well as your customer, and you pass on that sales intelligence to the sales folks.
Got it.
So I would say that these are the two important metric that each marketer should look at.
Got it. So marketing influence pipeline is what you mentioned. So
Right.
and before that you mentioned that the focus should be on both vanity and value metrics.
Correct.
Okay, and now I understand when we look at the value metrics, we are chasing a certain amount of number. We are chasing value. So it's very easier to track.
Yeah.
Okay, but when there's 30%, which you mentioned as the vanity metrics, which is branding and all of that, how do you really attribute marketing influence pipeline to that investment that you're doing?
Good question. And my answer to that is, there are a lot of technology stacks today, which is available in the market. Now, each of those platforms, marketers say we want this for this particular attribution, we want this platform, for this particular attribution, we want another platform. And they have a humongous, tech stacks, multiple tools. And the problem is, they only use certain functionality of each of these tools. I'll give you a classic example. Let's talk about a CRM platform like HubSpot or Salesforce. They have a lot of functionalities which not many people use. They use it as a basic platform.
Yeah.
So my answer to that would be go deep into whatever tech stack you have, rather than using 10% of each of the tool. Go 100% into a specific tool and look at the attribution channel. So for example, Adobe Analytics can actually track all the touch points if you set it up right, and it's a garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
A lot of people do not focus on analytics. That's why they are not able to set the conversions, and that's why they are not able to report it back.
Right.
So I would say go back to the drawing board and see what are the key activities which you are tracking. Whether it is, I'll give you an example. If you have a video on a landing page, and if you want to track how many, if it's a 1 minute video, if you want to track more than 10%, more than 10 seconds of the video, then you need to put a tracking in place. If you don't do that, how will you track it?
Correct.
So that's, I will say, start off with the attribution of your tracking, and then once you get that sorted, and there are tools available. So I would not buy if you say that it's not. How can we do it? I mean, there are tools available. You should go to the strategic level and say what all are the things I need to track.
Yeah. So basically going deeper into your own tech stacks that you have, and focusing on that. And I think I kind of agree with you also on the point of attribution, because a lot of people don't do attribution today. Especially B2B brands. They are not focused on attribution. They only focused on the last mile attribution.
Exactly.
And that actually creates a lot of chaos, because then marketing fails.
Exactly.
Because when you do it at the last mile, and the last mile is generally a sales generated.
Correct.
Right. When you start it from the first mile, first touch attribution, and then link it back to the last touch, I think that creates an holistic.
Absolutely. And just to add to that, I think B2B should learn a lot about tracking attribution from B2C industries, from
Absolutely
e-commerce.
agree.
Where e-commerce, if you look at it, if there is a cart abandonment, you track everything.
Yes.
So I believe a B2B still, the perception from a lot of senior folks, CEOs and stakeholders is that a B2B is just a website.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it should be how an e-commerce website has been treated.
Yeah.
Which all pages they have gone. Where are the funnels? You track the entire user exploration part.
Correct.
And if that has been able to, you bring that best expertise in B2B, I think then that addresses the question that you have just asked.
Right. Exactly. I think, B2B brands should start rethinking that part. How do they actually use their own website as a business platform?
Exactly.
Like the e-commerce platform.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So, we spoke about attribution, and we spoke about how do we really, as marketing, we should not be thinking that we are just a support function, but as a revenue function.
Absolutely.
Okay. So here comes my next point, is about how do you really build confidence with the sales team. Okay. At the end of the day, whatever marketing does, they do. You can generate your SQLs and all of that. That's great. But marketing does not win if the sales is not convinced about it. Okay, so that's the hard fact, or the hard reality that we are all in today. And as a marketer, hence, would you focus on getting 100 leads or 100 SQLs for that matter, or you would want to focus on the top 10 accounts that the sales is really focusing on, and try to generate more confidence with the sales team that yes, we can deliver more growth through these?
So I mean, that's a very good question that you have asked, and it's a typical issue with 99% of the organizations, specifically in the B2B area, right? The sales doesn't trust marketing, and the marketing also believes that sales are not following up on the leads that they share. My answer to that would be, treat your sales person as your customer.
Right.
To the marketing folks, right? I mean, earn that trust. Once they have your trust, they'll come to you for campaigns. Now that building that trust is a challenge, right? So talk to them. See, salespeople don't like to work on volumes. What they want is focused approach, and they focus on quality. So if your campaign is focused on that quality, if you pass on the sales intelligence, if you understand, work with them closely, and give them things that will help them with the campaigns, whether it is sales enablement, that is, for example, social selling. A lot of folks may not. They are used to doing traditional way of selling. If you upskill them on how LinkedIn Sales Navigator, for example, can be utilized, where to build a good pipeline and quality pipeline, and you work with them, or you tell them that you build that rapport and you build that trust from them, and they see the value, and to whatever you are giving to them. And to your point, focus on the existing account. Talk to them. That how many accounts you are managing, or what accounts you are targeting, what proposition you are doing, and who your ICPs. If you have that qualitative conversation with them and take that qualitative approach, that would help them. And once they have your trust, they know that you are going to help them in and make their life easier by giving them quality leads. I think that will resonate well with them. So first is, think about them as your prospect, and gain that trust. Because the hard truth is, if you don't have sales trust, marketing will not function properly.
Correct.
So get their buy-in, give them, show them initiatives, tell them that why this is important from marketing standpoint, whether it is creating a collateral video, whatever there was. One practice that I personally follow in whatever organization I have worked in, whatever request comes from sales, give it a priority. If you give them the priority, they will listen to you. So I think it's at the end of the day, it's a partnership, right? You tell them and you don't give them vanity metrics. That pisses them off.
Yeah. So they don't understand that.
They don't understand. They don't want it.
And it's a valid thing, I'm after revenues. I'm after growth. So don't tell me about impressions.
Right. If you tell them 100 leads have come in and we have given you, it wouldn't fly with them.
Yeah.
So do not be defensive.
Yeah.
Tell them, see, we got 100 leads. Okay, it's not good. What can we do to make it better?
Yeah.
Be a sounding board to them, and also let them be a sounding board for when you run campaigns.
Right.
Working in silos wouldn't help. You have to work in a collaborative way.
Yeah. It's changing, I believe, that whole marketing and sales functions working together. Earlier used to work in silos. I think it's changing slowly in the B2B realm today.
It is changing. See, there is still a long way to go. I'll be very honest. But it is changing, and I think it will change. But the change should happen first from the marketing side, which I mentioned. Right? You don't consider if the salesperson doesn't come with a campaign request, and you just think about yourself as a support function, it wouldn't fly.
Right.
You have to go to the sales, tell them we need to run this campaign. This is the approach. We will build a pipeline, give them the confidence, and obviously if you build some pipeline and they see the value, then you can do much bigger. So I think starts off with the mindset of a marketeer, especially a B2B modern marketeer, that it is not about leads, it's about impact, it's about outcome. And if they go with that approach and say, I'm going to bring revenue to and I'll try to convert this much, even that attitude shift will help them build a very good, strong relationship with the sales.
Right. I would say marketers should start going with a revenue first approach.
Absolutely.
If you go with that kind of an approach, then I think you do have a good buy-in from your sales team.
Absolutely.
And therefore you have a really good confidence.
Absolutely. And also you will be not treated as a support or a creative function. You will be treated by the leadership as a business function.
Right.
They'll come to you with request, and I have seen that in my organizations where I'm working, and previously as well. They now come to you and say, can you do a research on this? What is market telling?
Right.
So the conversation then becomes more of a partnership-led conversation. Right. What is your viewpoint? They will involve you in being a sounding board. Great. What type of campaigns we should run? So all those things. So having a very proactive sales first, revenue first, pipeline first approach will not only have the visibility, but also they will you will be in the inner circle, right during the campaign discussion and everything.
That's great. Fantastic. I think very, very good point on that. I think marketers start to think about how do they really generate that sales confidence. Great. So we spoke about a lot on how do we really build the sales confidence, and therefore sales is obviously focusing primarily on revenue and all of that. Okay, and they're not interested in vanity metrics. Okay, so let's get into the vanity metrics. Okay, let's challenge the outdated metrics. Cost per lead, cost per acquisition, or for that matter, marketing qualified leads. Now these are all vanity metrics. We have been using this for ages now, and if you go to any marketing team running a lot of great campaigns and all, they will come back and say, hey, I've delivered you low CPLs, I've delivered you great, I've got you this many marketing qualified leads or sales qualified leads and all of that. So all of these is really get good numbers and all of that you get, but are they really key, or getting a low cost per lead, is it great, or it is more expensive because after you get the lead, that lead is not converting, so it's wastage of marketing's time, it's wastage of salespeople time, and also it eventually becomes very expensive, right? So in your view, how is this matrix is changing today? While vanity metrics are important because that gives you an idea about your activity, but what is it that I really want to start focusing on as a marketeer to tell that, okay, this is the impact that marketing has been able to drive?
Sure. So very valid point that you mentioned, that the vanity, the MQLs, the leads, and all those things are important, and I still feel they have their that is important, but that is not important from the dashboard view. which you are presenting to the sales or which you are presenting to the higher leadership.
Right.
It is good for you internally to get an understanding of the optimization of your tactical strategy. What is important, I feel, is you shouldn't look at cost per lead. You should look at cost per SQL. You should look at cost per opportunity created. You should look at cost per deal value created. You should look at cost per revenue. Closure of the opportunity. That will give a very good number. So I'll give you an example. Let's say the ticket size of a B2B organization, whether it's a product or a service, is let's say $100,000.
Right.
If you say that my cost per lead is, I'm looking at just 500 as a cost per lead, it's a good metric for a marketing function.
Yeah.
Don't report it back to the sales because they wouldn't be interested, or it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If all those 100 leads are not giving them an SQL.
Correct.
So even though you have your cost per lead is way better than the benchmark of 500 into 100 leads, though I spent around, let's say, $5,000 to $50,000, right, overall on a campaign. But if it doesn't give any lead, your cost per SQL becomes zero.
Right.
But if you, let's say, you got your cost per lead at $2,000, cost per MQL at $2,000, but if out of those $2,000, even if one convert, your cost per SQL is actually better in this case. Yeah. Compared to the earlier case.
Correct.
So I'm saying don't go with a defensive approach that my cost per lead has to be lesser.
Right.
Focus on the intent, focus on the prospect, because see, in B2B there are multiple decision makers. There needs to be multiple touch points. So you should look at, okay, who can what is the chances of this guy becoming a good ICP, and asking for demos of our products or solutions or services. So focus on that. Even if it is a higher cost per lead, it's still okay. So get rid of that defensive mindset that you have to put it only this much. It's okay. If it is expensive but it helps you build a stronger pipeline, that's a good approach.
Right. And I've also seen, a lot of marketing functions, they stop at the cost per lead.
Yes.
Okay. So I have generated a lead. And what is that lead doing next? If you start getting deeper into what that lead is actually then starting to engage with you as a brand, is it downloading a white paper, is it asking for a demo as you mentioned,
right.
And then when you start deep diving into it, then you will see your cost per lead might be high or low, but then eventually the intent of that buyer is what you are focusing on.
Absolutely.
So I think I think that's where I think we miss as a marketers.
Yes.
We leave it here. Okay, we have generated the lead. Now is the sales team's job.
Yes.
Sales team is saying, I am not interested in this.
Exactly.
This probably does not look valid. It might be a valid lead, but they would not touch it till the time you actually show it. So I think it's a very valid point. Vanity metrics remain, and they will be important from a marketing standpoint because I'm spending money. Obviously, so from a marketing standpoint, it is important. But let's start looking beyond that and start defining our own key metrics which will drive revenue.
Correct. Absolutely. And see, to add to whatever you just mentioned, right? Marketers love creativity and they keep themselves restricted to that.
Correct.
I believe that is not the ideal way, specifically today when the competition is, the functions are evolving.
Right.
You should be, okay, that's the creative aspect should be there. They'll say, these are many webinars I'll run this particular year.
Yeah.
This many. So it's more of a checklist and tactical outcomes that they focus on.
Right.
I think that mindset should change from tactical to outcome led.
Right.
When you say, okay, I want to generate this many revenue, then you will think backwards and focus on all the. So asking yourself the right question should be the starting point.
Right.
That what all things I need to do to become a revenue function.
Right. Absolutely. In fact, I've seen a lot of these webinars and all. We get so many participations and all. But what next?
Exactly.
So, nobody is questioning that, and that is where I think the gap is.
Right.
Great. So we spoke about the metrics now, and we spoke about content and all of that. And as you mentioned, marketing is looked at more of a creative, and they want to do great things. So let's get into a little more have a little more understanding from a buyer journey perspective, and therefore role of marketing. Okay, buyer journeys are there. We have a top funnel. They come from awareness, then to move to consideration, research, and all of that. So from that perspective. And also, if you look at today, buyers are more well researched,
Absolutely,
because
yes.
of the data that is available.
Absolutely.
AI is helping them, and it's so much is there. And so, in your views, when you look at marketing's function, or if you look at your function itself, what are the stages, or where is the marketing's role actually really there in the buyer journey, and therefore, do you think marketers need to start thinking about changing their, the way they are looking at the buyer journey today?
Absolutely, yes. To your question, and I think this is not just B2B. I think it's across all B2B, B2C, D2C,
Yeah.
all the different terminology you may associate with. Marketing should not restrict themselves to only awareness or consideration stage. I think that's where actually the work begins. And I think a lot of B2B companies need to now adopt key shifts. Giving it to sales is not where it stops.
Yeah.
It actually starts from there.
Right.
You have done the first 20% work,
Yeah.
gotten the leads, entered them in the marketing in your CRM. Now you qualify them. You have multiple touch points, nurture them, improve the marketing improve your marketing automation tech stack, which is scoring them on all the activity that they do, and then once it hits a threshold, or let's say 200 or 300, whatever, based on your company's processes, you then pass it on. So you nurture. So I would put it like awareness is obviously the first stage. Then it's education. Educate, reach to them, to your prospects about different offerings you have, thought leadership, education on the industry, giving them the research insights, etc. Right? Then it is all about working with the sales, and until unless you get a closure from them, this MQL is not qualified, and if it is not qualified, why it is not qualified,
Right.
and if it is qualified, what is the next stage, where are we, why there is a drop, is it the drop because of because our proposal was very higher than the other vendor, is it because our service was not good? So the more you work with the sales and understand the reason, the better you can optimize your existing campaigns. And again, if let's say there is a conversion, if your marketing qualified lead becomes a SQL and becomes an opportunity, then also you should now focus on how you can build customer collaterals, customer advocacy, ask for referrals from the existing customers.
Right.
Sales will do it, but see, sales will keep on doing they have a lot of focus areas. If you can tell them that I can help you reach out to your existing clients, ask them for referrals, do the customer advocacy, and I see some of the companies are doing that really well, and I can quote some of the companies like SAP, who is doing that brilliantly well. They are looking at they have a separate function who does the customer advocacy, testimonial video, ask for referrals, etc. And I think the marketing should be a part of the entire value chain, not just restrict to an MQL.
Right. That's a good point, because the moment you restrict yourself just to the top funnel, then you're kind of not a partner.
Absolutely.
As you mentioned in the previous point, that you're not revenue focused.
Absolutely.
You're just focused on driving that visibility, which probably is not what is not probably what the company is looking at, or
Absolutely.
the organization is looking
Yeah.
at. Great. In moving on to our probably the last segment of our discussion here, and you kind of touched upon it, is that marketing's role does not stop at just generating lead.
Yeah.
Okay. It's beyond acquisition. Okay. What happens today is that we have acquired a client, okay, or closed the deal. We're happy, we're celebrating, everything is done. But what next? Okay. And what generally happens is that it is after that, both marketing and sales are kind of on the back seat, and it is then left to the delivery team.
Correct.
Okay, and they take the lead. Okay.
Correct.
Obviously, it is their job to take the lead, and But do you think the marketing's role actually stops there, or do you think marketing teams now need to start thinking that no, though the lead has come or the deal has been closed, I have many more things to do with that. So what do you think about that? So how do marketing or marketers today need to think about going beyond acquisition and not just stop there?
Absolutely, to what I already in the previous question I've kind of touched based on this, that should, even after the delivery, right, become a self learner of what solution we delivered. Again, the checklist approach will not help. A case study, customer sales folks will come say, just build a case study. No, I mean, whatever is the delivery you have done, what solution we built in, what was the unique value proposition of our solution that helped the customer, and that can be a winning, that can be a good idea to run a winning campaign.
Right.
I would suggest, I mean, my recommendation, again, it's still an early point, but I think marketers should get involved in, after sales, how it happens in a B2C, right?
Right.
Buying a laptop is a starting point.
Absolutely.
But after that, they pitches, the marketing gets involved in what is the customer lifetime value. I think that same principle should come in B2B. You should look at customer lifetime value.
Yeah.
So you should look at, okay, these are our customer. Can we run an existing account ABM campaigns? Can we increase the customer lifetime value? If you do that, sales will be very much happy because, getting a new customer is a much more difficult work than, ensuring that they are existing, you get more business from the existing customer than a retaining, than a new customer.
Correct.
So the focus should be on how we can get the existing customer buy more,
Right.
whether it's our service or whether it's our product. So I think the marketer needs to understand each account as good as how a sales
team
client partner understands.
Yeah.
You may not reach to that level of a client partner, but at least that effort should be initiated.
Right. And you mentioned about B2C brands. I think for me, I think financial product companies especially, they do it fantastically.
Absolutely well, absolutely.
They get you through a loan or an insurance or whatever you take, and after that, it's continuous process from there, and to keep on engaging that person and sharing more things. Okay, I have this now, and it's a great way to actually keep them engaging. Even banks do it very well.
Absolutely.
So and I think it's a very valid point. Customer lifetime value. I think today probably in B2B we do not understand that. We know, okay, we've got a $10 million deal. That's great.
Yeah.
But that 10 million probably can become a $20 million in the next 5 years, because you foresee that the brand might need the other 4 services that you
Exactly.
Okay. And I think this is the mindset that is what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
That marketers needs to change.
Right.
Yeah?
I mean, to add one more point, I think what happens is the general perception in the market is a B2B marketer will say B2B is different than a B2C. B2C marketer will say B2C is different than B2B. This works in B2B.
Right.
This doesn't. So that's where you are actually stopping your learning curve. You say,
Right.
okay, I don't believe in that. I genuinely believe it's some amalgamation of bringing the two different worlds together. Analytics, attribution, creativity, everything works well in B2C. You bring in the best elements there. In B2B, it's about identifying your prospect, doing the strategic messaging, everything. You get that thing looped into the B2C. I think if you bring in the best practices of both the worlds, you can build a much powerful marketing function.
Exactly.
And not just typecast yourself only in doing one. I think you should be like a marketing function should be like an actor, right? You do various roles and you try, the learning curve should not stop.
Right, absolutely, fantastic. So those are great points, Prashakth. I think now before we close in, okay, and no conversations today gets closed without the mention of AI.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in this entire marketing's proving marketing's value, where do you think AI sits, and how can AI really help marketers?
Well, AI is, I mean, we can see over the last 1 year, usually any changes takes a lot of time to come in, right? The impact of the change. With AI, you have seen the impact, right? How much it has changed. So I believe the best line I read somewhere, that AI will not replace your job. It will replace the job of people who will not use AI.
Yeah.
So I believe that is true. there still will be a human in the loop needed. You cannot completely 100% depend on AI. It will fast track your efficiency, it will fast track your productivity, but what I look at and my viewpoint is you may not have a lot of headcount increasing in a particular marketing function. Let's say if it's a team of 50, you may not have that 50 to becoming an 100. However, what will happen with the AI, that 50 people will be able to do the work of 70 people.
Right.
So I see it is more of an as an optimization. With the usage of a lot of AI tools, it will fasten your your production of the content. For example, it will improve your, if you are giving 10 targets, let's say 10 webinars a year, now you can do 20 webinars a year with the same resource.
Right.
So I see the volume increasing with the usage of AI, but still you need humans to do the work, right? So and I have seen that a lot of AI projects now, last year everybody was talking about AI, now it has fizzled down a bit, because now people know AI is important, but you can make the difference between an AI produced content and a human produced content. So people don't like too much of perfection also, right? So there has to be a little bit of imperfection, that humanness, and I believe that will always be there.
Great.
Specifically in a B2B or a B2C setup.
Perfect. Sounds good. So, so thank you, Prashakth. I think sharing some very interesting, valuable thoughts that you've shared with us. And what I take from our conversation is that both vanity and value metrics stay. Okay. And as a marketer, you need to understand and therefore kind of balance it out. As you mentioned, 30% should be focused on vanity, 70 on value, but again, depends on brand to brand.
Right.
So that's one. The second takeout that I take is that marketing functions or marketers now need to think about that they are business owners or revenue owners and not a support function.
Yes.
And the moment you start thinking that way, it really helps you in building a winning combination with your sales team.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the other point that I really thought was very interesting was that to build the right attribution model. Okay. Yes. B2B marketers today do not focus on building an attribution model to actually see from a first touch to the last touch. So how do you really build the attribution model, and how do you really use your tech stacks to really help or really understand what is marketing's true ROI?
Yeah.
Right. So thank you, Prashakth, for sharing these valuable experiences and valuable insights that you have. Any last thoughts that you would have for the listeners here?
The final thought. I kind of explained all the things which you asked, and thank you for asking those questions and getting the most out of most of the inputs that I had based on my experiences. My final thought would be, for each of the B2B marketer is move from the technical stuff, right? I'm not saying move, that means not do that. It's obviously important. It will marketing operations will always be important, but focus more on your from a technical marketer to becoming an outcome or a value driven marketer, and how your effort will improve the visibility of marketing as more of a revenue function. Because once you change that narrative, I think you will almost have the same command as other business function would be. The moment you bring revenue through your efforts and not look at, and the perception of the management will change of you as a cost center. They will look at you as a profit center. I think do everything what is needed to change that perception of becoming a cost center but becoming a profit center. And I think once you change that narrative it starts with you. As a marketer, if you change that, I'm sure the stakeholders and everybody will realize that, and you believe first, and then the world will believe. I think that's a takeaway that I would like to give.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. For our viewers, thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of B2B Marketing Podcast. For more such insights and conversations, join us at B2B World Summit and Awards 2026 on March 20th in Bangalore. Until then, please keep thinking about how can you become a profit center and not just a cost center. Thank you so much.